When I do my Sonic retrospective videos, I decide to go in-depth in all the games, but honestly, Sonic Rivals 2 does not deserve it. Why? Because this game literally gives you nothing new. It is just Sonic Rivals 1 again, with slight differentiations. It's so tedious, especially since they make you repeat everything 8 times. I'm not joking. You have to go for this game 8 times, and it pisses me the fuck off. The gameplay and everything else is pretty much the same as Sonic Rivals 1, except you get to play more characters, which is fine. There are 8 characters in total. Now, it seems like they play as both characters in one storyline, which you do. However, you also split them up between a second storyline, which is exactly the same as the same main storyline, but you're playing as mainly Tails and sometimes Sonic, rather than playing as mainly Sonic and then sometimes Tails. Like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? It's the same levels, layout every single time, even between the 2 characters and the other 4 characters. So you go to Shao's campaign, it's the same exact levels as Sonic's campaign. What the fuck? I know you're saying, well, Sonic Heroes also did that. Well, sure, they did do that. However, that was only 4 campaigns, and each one of those level variations were different. Sonic's Seaside Hill wasn't the same as Team Darks or Team Rose, and etc., etc. They all did different things in there, so the levels were slightly different, even though it was kind of bad. They would have been better if Sonic Heroes had different layouts for each of the characters. I mean, they did, but different, like, organization between the levels. Like, you go to Seaside Hill, then you go to, like, whatever it is, I forget off the top of my head, even though I played the game a lot of times, who cares? Anyway, this game does not have that, because why the fuck not? Let's torture the player here, let's force him in order to beat this game to the completion. You have to play this game 8 fucking times, with the same fucking levels and the same monotonous gameplay. The main difference between this and the first game is the fact other than they add 4 new characters to play as, they also add these terrible rival fights that you have to do. Basically, you have this giant arena, which is entirely pointless in order to find one of the power-ups hidden throughout it. Then you gotta find the other fucking opponent, or just spam the fucking power-ups at them, and hopefully they die, or spam homing attacks at them, or they spam you. It's fucking terrible. These are easily the worst rival fights in Sonic history, and that says a lot, since the rival fights have always been pretty bad in these games, despite the fact that I like most of these games. The rival fight is fucking terrible. Why is the arena so fucking big? Oh, it's so fucking annoying. Sorry, I really wasn't a big fan of Sonic Rivals 1. I know some people liked it, grew up in PSP, and it's fine for a short burst of gameplay, just want to play a little bit. Try and play for the whole game, it's just very monotonous. The 2D racing element of this Sonic Rivals is just not very good. The gameplay basically prioritizes you just running in a straight line for the most part, and occasionally hitting certain buttons the time being, which is, I guess, alright, but it means the level design takes a giant step back compared to other 2D Sonic games, meaning the game level are sort of not that fun to replay, since you're really not much level variation, because of the fact that the levels are pretty bare bones of what you really can do with them. Even though there's alternate pathways, they aren't that drastic compared to other Sonic games. They're very minor, and overall don't really matter that much. It's just very bland and tedious, and throughout most of the levels you're doing the same thing over and over again. These levels aren't really fun, but if you just play them once, that's fine, but because of the racing element, it means that you have to beat the computer, which if you know how to play this game and know all the layouts, that's fine, but it means you have to replay these levels multiple times if you're not that good at the game, and these level designs aren't that great. Like I said, they're pretty bland, and you just have to basically get every button right, because if you don't do it, you basically fail, and redo it and memorize all the layouts, which is just not fun game design, and none of the other Sonic games are based off that, really, so it just makes this game even more jarring with that element in mind. I don't like these levels because they're not really fun to play, since they're just repetitive. So the fact that I have to replay them because I missed one input, meaning I have to redo everything just for that one fucking input, it fucking drives you fucking crazy after a while. Especially playing these fucking levels over and over again. Is there anything good about this game? Well, I guess it has voice acting and additional characters for the first game, that's something, but like I said, the gameplay just feels more monotonous this time than it was the previous time around. So the game's story is not that interesting either. Each characters have their own storyline. Sonic and Tails here just want to find Chao that Eggman's captured. And they just encounter other characters and say, let's race, and because I hate you. We want to fight Eggman first for our own reason. The plot is very thin, if you couldn't tell. In the Knuckles and Rouge storyline, Knuckles lost the Master Emerald. Again. And I guess he thinks Eggman's taking it, because who else would do it? Unless he thinks it's Sonic, which he doesn't this time around, so he's not an idiot. And Rouge wants to find the Chaos Emeralds for Eggman, because I guess she works for Eggman now. But she helps Knuckles out too, because why not? Then there's Silver and Espio's storyline. Yes, Espio randomly teams up with Silver, because Silver comes back from the future to stop this guy called Ifrit, which Eggman is trying to unleash with the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Espio is trying to stop Silver from kidnapping Chao, because Silver thinks hiding the Chao will stop this from happening, because Chao have something to do with this? I don't remember Chao being linked to some random god called Ifrit. Last time I checked, the Chao were connected to a god called Chaos, but I guess I misread my Sonic mythology. In the Shadow and Metal Sonic storyline, yes, Shadow and Metal Sonic are teaming up. Shadow learns from Metal Sonic, who's actually being voice commanded by Eggman because Metal Sonic base cannot talk, apparently. I don't know why Sega made that a part of his character, but it is. And Eggman tells Shadow that he's being impersonated by Eggman Nega, who's a character that I've played the other games he's in so far, and I still do not understand what this character's purpose is. He's just a random evil version of Eggman, but even though Eggman's already evil, he has a shitty design, but apparently just does Eggman things, and he sometimes teams up with Eggman and sometimes doesn't, and he's also a descendant, but also not. Who the fuck knows? Eggman Nega sucks. Shadow decides to help him out just to get the Chaos Emeralds back, and yeah, that's about it. Then, of course, near the end, you've had to fight Ifrit along with Metal Sonic 3.0. Who's Metal Sonic 3.0? Well, he's Eggman Nega's version of Metal Sonic. Why does he have 3.0 in his title? I do not know. He's 3.0, I guess. While the story is better in this game than it was in the previous installment, or just Eggman taking pictures of cards, and you do get fun card collectibles in this game still, the plot is still just as confusing as it was before. Every time Eggman Nega appears in these games, it's just always confusing why this character even exists. Like, they could create a more interesting alternate universe version of Eggman rather than this guy called Nega, who just acts exactly the same as Eggman, but isn't. So, yeah, whatever. The storyline is not the worst of this game's problems. The worst of it is having played 8 times just for really nothing, since all the stories end the same. You just get more information, I guess. How fucking lame. And yeah, I know it's pretty hard in this game, and I just didn't like having to play this game 8 times in a row. It wasn't fun. I didn't have to do it, but I did it anyway. And you know, that's it. I'm not going over the levels, or nothing's changes out between them other than some boss fights. It's just the same thing over and over again. Sorry, I just could not put my energy into reviewing this game that much. Sorry, Sonic Rivals 2 fans, but I'm not a fan of this game. The game did okay when it came out, getting mediocre reviews and mediocre sales, and currently it's not very expensive, though it is a little bit more expensive than Sonic Rivals 1, with a $20 price, basically, so it's not too bad if you have a PSP. I'm not a big fan of playing on the PSP. The form factor just doesn't really fit my hand and makes this game even more infuriating. I do like the console, just one that grew up with Nintendo handhelds. The PSP just does not form well to my hand. So yeah, sorry PSP fans, but Sonic Rivals 2 did nothing for me. Put Rivals 2 low because even though it's technically might be better than the first game, I thought it was more infuriating and less unique, since it was mostly copied a lot of things I didn't like in the first game, it just did it over and over again. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of Rivals 2 or the Rivals series, and it doesn't seem like Sega is either. Other than some PSP fans who grew up with the game, it doesn't seem like it has much fans from newcomers, and I can see why. The game doesn't offer really anything much of value. Sorry fans of the game, but Sonic has way better platforming games on their handheld consoles. Sorry if I seem out of it, this took longer than I thought it was, and this game really didn't give me a lot to work with. Sorry, next time will be better. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for better videos.